What's up, everybody? It's Rashad Buie back again. Consider hitting that like and subscribe button as I upload videos on a weekly basis covering the hottest topics in sports, especially if it is OU related. This is Ballin' with Buie. Today I want to talk about the MLS's opening weekend, talk about a couple scores, break down a little bit of games, so let's jump right in. Before we talk about the games specifically, let's talk about a couple preseason things before the season started. Top 5 MLS favorites going into the season are LAFC, Columbus Crew, Seattle Sounders, Toronto FC, and Philadelphia Union. And then on the bottom of the barrel expected, Houston Dynamo, DC United, San Jose Earthquakes, Vancouver, Whitecaps, and Real Salt Lake. Now, none of that should really be a surprise, and Columbus Crew obviously is no surprise at all since they're the defending champs. LAFC potentially might be a surprise to you, just considering how bad a year they had last year, but they had a lot of injuries that led to them being that terrible. And for them anyways, that is. LAFC favorites to win the first title over defending champs Columbus Crew. That's what a lot of people are projecting. They're projecting at LAFC Columbus Crew final, where LAFC is going to be crowned champions. Austin FC is also making their debut this season as an expansion team. As you know, there have been several expansion teams here recently, and they're one that's making their debut this season. But the first game of the MLS season was Houston and San Jose. Houston ended up getting the 2-1 win. Like I said, opening game of the year, and it didn't disappoint. It should have been a 2-2 draw, in my opinion. Wondolowski, which is one of the greatest MLS players of all time, if you don't know, Wondolowski came off the bench in this game because he's getting old, so when you start to get old, you start to come off the bench no matter how great you were or are. But Wondolowski came off the bench and missed an open net goal in the 84th minute. It came right across his face, and he went to tap it in and just absolutely blew it. Hey, I don't know how he missed. I guess it hit off his laces wrong, and because it was just a tap in. He was this far from the goal. There's no goalkeeper. All you do is just boop, tap it in, and he misses it wide left, and that would be pretty much the deciding factor of the game, because Houston would go on to win and beat San Jose 2-1. Second game was Seattle over Minnesota. They absolutely dominated, got a 4-0 win, and already potential goal of the year by Joao Paulo, I think is how you pronounce his name. But he had an absolute great goal from top of the 18, probably about 25 yards out if I had to guess. He let the ball bounce in front of him once and then volleyed it into the top left corner. It was an absolutely great goal. I doubt it's going to be goal of the year just because it was opening weekend, and there's no way you have goal of the year in opening weekend, right? But a lot of people are saying goal of the year already, which, you know, that's what happens when there aren't any other games to compare, when there aren't any other games to pull goals from. It's obviously going to be called goal of the year. So right now, yeah, it's clearly goal of the year, but I don't think that's going to stand. But anyways, moving on to the rest of the games, Montreal beat Toronto 4-2, no surprise there. Orlando and Atlanta drew 0-0. LAFC over Austin FC 2-0, potentially the start of their championship run. Who knows? We'll see. DC United over New York City 2-1. FC Dallas and Colorado drew. Now, I haven't paid attention to the MLS in a couple years now. I've slacked off for about 2 or 3 years, but I usually like to pay close attention to the LA Galaxy. LA Galaxy fan just because I grew up, not grew up because David Beckham wasn't on the team that long, but I got to watch David Beckham and Landon Donovan dominate for the Galaxy for several years, so that drew me in, and that's why I'm a Galaxy fan. But I like to pay attention to the Galaxy and FC Dallas just because it's local. I wouldn't call myself an FC Dallas fan, but I root for the FC Dallas no matter who they're playing. Unless they're playing the Galaxy, then I want the Galaxy to win. But FC Dallas, those are two teams I pay attention to, just so you know, going into the rest of the season. FC Dallas and Colorado started out the season with a draw 0-0. Sporting Kansas City over Red Bulls 2-1. Kansas City allowed a goal in the 48th minute, but was able to come back with 2 very quick goals. They got a PK in the 59th minute, and then they tacked on another goal in the 60th minute. That's pretty insane. That usually never happens in soccer. 2 goals back to back like that within 1 minute, get 2 goals. But it happened in Sporting KC was able to get the win over the Red Bulls. Chicago Chicago and New England drew 2-2, and this was a very good game also, because Chicago jumped out to a quick 2-0 lead just after 11 minutes. They got 2 goals within 11 minutes of the game, but then New England followed it up with 2 quick goals themselves, and they got their 2 goals by the 27th minute in the first half. So all 4 goals that were scored in this game were scored within the first 27 minutes of the first half. So yeah, I mean, there wasn't a ton of action in the second half. Someone got a red card, I believe, in extra time of that game. Jones, I believe, was his last name. I don't remember his first name. But yeah, someone got a red card for I don't know who he played for. Potentially New England, maybe, I don't know. But someone got a red card in extra time. Anyways, that was a 2-2 draw. And then Nashville and FC Cincinnati also had a 2-2 draw, and this was another game that a team jumped out to a 2-0 lead. Cincinnati jumped out to a 2-0 lead in the first 12 minutes, and then they ended up drawing. So it's 2 games where you had teams jump out to very quick 2-0 leads, and then they relinquished both of them to draws. And my team, LA Galaxy over Miami, they were able to get the dub 3-2, and I know I'm a little bit biased because I'm an LA Galaxy fan, but this probably was the game of opening weekend, the best game of opening weekend. Starting out, Robbie Robinson from Miami. He was the #1 pick in the 2020 draft for Miami, and he got a goal in extra time in the first half to give Miami a 1-0 lead going into halftime. And then LA rallied twice to get the win. They tied it up 1-1 from a goal from Chicharito, and then Miami grabbed the lead back 2-1, and then Chicharito knocked in another one to tie it up 2-2, and then they were able to get the win 3-2, and that's in large part obviously due to Chicharito, because he had 2 goals, and he had his first 2-goal performance in his MLS career. And that's a great start. This is what you want to see if you're an LA Galaxy fan. You want to see Chicharito getting off to a strong start, because he had a lackluster year last year. So this is what you want to see, especially if you're wanting to make a run into the playoffs if you're the LA Galaxy. Moving on, Columbus and Philadelphia drew 0-0. This was a good game. It was a 0-0 draw, but it was a very good game. It was a very intense game. 2 very good teams, Columbus and Philadelphia. Both are high favorites to win the championship. And the Columbus goalkeeper made some very huge saves towards the end of the game to keep Philadelphia off the board. And yeah, so both teams were able to get out with a draw. I think that's probably a win for Philadelphia, just because they were the away team. So going on the road, I mean, if you can get out with 1 point, that's a win for you. And the last game of the opening weekend was Vancouver and Portland. Vancouver was able to get the 1-0 win. So that does it for the first week of MLS action. It was an action-packed weekend. I enjoyed watching MLS soccer. I missed it, quite honestly. I've been paying attention to it, and I've been missing out, apparently, because I enjoyed just about every game that I watched. I didn't get to watch all of them, but I watched a couple, and I enjoyed every minute of it. But MLS next weekend. Until then, deuces.